Hey everybody! Woo-hoo. Welcome to another episode of A Little Something Extra with me, Nancy Gianni, and my daughter,
the GiGi of this Playhouse.
Woo-hoo. The GiGi of GiGi's Playhouse. Oh, and who do we have?
And I'm Franco Gianni back here, doing my producing duties in the back. So as the executive producer, I just want to remind you all that this is also a video podcast. So make sure that you go to our website or you go to our YouTube channel to check out our video. We have a live in-studio guest for this episode today, so it's going to make the episode just that much more fun. So make sure you check it out.
I know, our first live in-studio person. That means COVID's going away.
Yep.
We're getting there, aren't we, Gigi? Yes.
Getting there.
Or people are just getting sick of Zoom, either or.
Yes, yes. So really excited for this guest that's coming in today. Franco actually discovered him, which I think is really cool. As a sibling, you were kind of out cruising things for yourself and found out about Rick's story. And about Noah.
I mean, he's got a pretty incredible one. And we built, this episode is basically themed after all of the different things that he's doing in this world and the thing he's bringing. So the theme of today's episode is all basically about bringing hope and positivity into this world through just these great acts of people and by bringing out your little something extra. And I think Rick does that, and Noah do that perfectly. I mean, by creating the nonprofit that he did, by also just when it comes to the blogs that he created as well as a parent just early on, to basically just take that learning that he was having as a new parent and bringing that out to the world and being able to show that to all of these new parents that might not necessarily know what Down syndrome is, and if they get that prenatal diagnosis and they get that terrifying diagnosis as well, and terrifying not because it's actually a terrifying diagnosis, but because those doctors in the room will make you feel like that when that initially happens. So the fact that he's brought that situation in and he's just turned it completely around and trying to shed the beauty on this diagnosis is amazing, and the positivity.
I'm so excited to meet them and just get the party started. So without further ado, before we get started, I have to talk about iacceptyou.org.
Yes.
Guys, join the Generation G community. Go to iacceptyou.org. Take the pledge, take the acceptance pledge, and join the Generation G community where you're going to get all kinds of diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives for your school, for your community, for your corporation, or for yourself, for your family. It's just showing great ways that we can make this world a better place. So we're so excited to have you. We are more than excited to bring on our next in-studio guest, because we've never had this before. But we have the awesome Rick and Noah Smith came here today from Dallas, Texas, to tell us about their amazing organization and what they have done ever since the birth of that beautiful boy right there. So I don't think I can do justice to what they've done for me to even give you that intro, brother, because you have gone above and beyond for all families out there with Down syndrome, man, and I just want to thank you for that. And I would love to hear the story and how it got started. It has been hard for me to not ask you all these questions and find out and read about it all. I'd rather hear about it directly from you. So let us have it, brother.
Well, thank you for having us here. You guys are so awesome. We have been GiGi's Playhouse fans for as long as we've known about GiGi's Playhouse, because you guys are, the theme of this episode is hope, and boy, you guys give hope to people, and I'm just so thrilled. It's like meeting a rock star, getting to meet you guys, because you guys have done so much great stuff. So thank you for what you've done on behalf of the entire Down syndrome community. Thank you guys for what you're doing. Thanks for having us. And so, so I'll jump in. I'll tell you our story. So a little over 10 years ago, we were surprised to learn that Noah was born with Down syndrome. So we learned about several hours after he was born that he was born with Down syndrome. We had no idea before. The OBGYN left the hospital and didn't talk to us that night. Yep. In fact, even when they were going to let my wife hold Noah for the first time, they didn't want my wife to see Noah's face. So they told me to put my back to my wife, and they said, we're going to back Noah in like a dump truck so that your wife.
Did you know at this point?
I had no idea.
So
and my wife's a doctor, so they didn't want her to see Noah's face and make a diagnosis in the delivery room.
Oh my God, I have goosebumps.
So she never got to hold her baby in the beginning.
Wow.
And it was a really negative experience. Our OBGYN left the hospital, and we're like, where'd the OBGYN go? And they called our pediatrician to come in and break the news to us. The next day, the OBGYN came in. One of her first things to us was, I'm so sorry, followed by an offer to give my wife antidepressants.
Oh my gosh.
To which she declined. It's like, I don't think I'm depressed. I'm just trying to process what just happened.
Yeah, help me understand. Wow,
and so we had, Yeah, so we just had a negative experience surrounding Noah's diagnosis because the room right next to us, they're having balloons and cigars and a party, and then in our room people didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
It was really bizarre.
Yeah, it is. It's like those condolences
Yes.
instead of congratulations.
And people don't know what to do.
They don't know what to do.
And so as we started trucking along, we realized that our experience surrounding Noah's diagnosis was pretty common, that a lot of moms around the globe have had a negative experience surrounding the birth of their GiGi or their Noah.
Yeah.
And so as we were also going along, we said, hey, why don't we start a blog called noahsdad.com. We'll just start putting videos up. We'll just start showing people what it's like raising a child with Down syndrome because it's a little different, but it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And so we just started putting stuff on our blog. And then one day, someone sent me an article that Target had a child with Down syndrome modeling for an ad. I wrote about it, blogged about it, tweeted it. I think Target retweeted it. Adweek picked it up. And then from that moment, we started getting a lot of exposure to our blog. And I was just talking about how cool it was that Target put a kid with Down syndrome in the ad. And
Totally,
just kind of a normal situation.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, we started telling a story on our blog, social media, Facebook, Instagram, and that just started to grow. And, we realized we had literally millions of people around the globe that were connected with Noah's story. But when you like a Facebook post or you reshare something on Facebook, that doesn't really change a life. Right. And so we started to have this audience and thought, how can we mobilize all these people to do something more than like and share a Facebook post?
Yeah.
And what are the problems that people in the Down syndrome community experience? Mm-hmm. And the problem that we're trying to solve is that, tragically, a lot of kids like Noah and GiGi never make it out of the womb. Mm-hmm. Over 60% of children with a prenatal diagnosis of Down syndrome don't get a chance to live, simply because of their chromosomes.
Right.
And you kind of go, why? Why is that? And it's because a lot of people are afraid. They're scared. They don't know what to expect. People come here to this Playhouse.
Totally.
Moms that are new, just got the diagnosis, and they're scared, they're worried, they're fearful, and we know that fear can make people do can make some decisions that they may regret. Mm-hmm. And so, so we just said, boy, why did so many children never make it out of the womb? And you backtrack and you go, it's because so many medical professionals struggle in the way that they deliver that diagnosis because they're the authority figure in the room.
Totally.
And they're telling people, this is going to be tough, this is going to be hard, this is going to be expensive. Would you like to go down to the clinic and terminate your child? And parents are in a whirlwind. They don't know what to do. And they're thinking, well, if the authority figure in the room is suggesting this, then man, you must know something that I don't. And so I'm going to go do what you're asking me to do.
Right.
And so we said, hey, look, the two problems that we want to solve is that my wife's a doctor. We said most medical professionals don't receive training in medical school on how to deliver a Down syndrome diagnosis. And then most medical professionals don't have a personal relationship to anyone with Down syndrome. They don't know a GiGi. They don't know a Noah. Mm-hmm. So you have lack of training and you have lack of personal relationship.
And think when doctors see our kids when they're sick and in the hospital.
Yes.
So they don't get a chance to see our kids when they're out thriving in their communities or doing anything else. They see them when they're sick.
Textbook
and maybe
situations.
not cooperating. And textbook. I mean, I've heard that doctors learn maybe 5 minutes on Down syndrome in medical school.
Yes. And it depends on who you follow, if you're in residency or if you're in your training, who you follow, things like that. And so we said, hey, how can we help train those doctors? And Noah's so excited, he wants to tell you about this. And so we said, hey, here's what we know is that every single parent out there who has a child with Down syndrome, they are a source of hope to someone else. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have a big blog. You don't have to have 1 million people on your Instagram. You don't have to have written a book.
Right.
You have a story to share.
Right.
And we wanted to help them tell their story. And we want to help them basically adopt their medical professional. So we said, hey, we want to try to connect every OBGYN in America to a family raising a child with Down syndrome.
Awesome.
And we call those parents hope advocates because they are. And it doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter if you're rich, if you're poor, if you live in a small town or a big town. If you have a child with Down syndrome, even if you don't think that you do, you are a source of hope. You have a hope story
100%.
to tell someone else.
100%.
And so what we decided to do is we said, hey, let's help set families up as hope advocates. And so a mom or dad who has a child with Down syndrome, they get a chance to come to hopestory.org and they get a hope kit. Is this the hope kit, Noah? And they tell us some stuff about their child, and they upload some photos. And what they get in the mail is this really cool Hope Kit that helps them be an advocate to their community. And so they get kind of a shirt, they get a getting started guide. But let me tell you the secret sauce. The secret sauce is they get this really cool Hope Advocate folder. And inside is, let me show them now, pictures of their kid, their child. Every parent gets pictures, photo cards. We call these Hope announcements. These are meant to look like birth announcements that you see on your doctor's walls.
Yeah, love it.
Picture, and then on the back, highlights. So a parent can go into their medical professional and say, hey, I'm a Hope Advocate. Here's my son Noah. I received training. I would love to connect to any patients that you have whose child receives a Down syndrome diagnosis.
Yeah.
And they get these really cool contact cards with their phone number that their doctor then can share with new parents. If you go to the greeting card aisle at Target, you're probably going to have a hard time finding a congratulations card for someone with Down syndrome. So we partnered with an artist with Down syndrome to create a congratulations card that they can give to the parent. Then when Noah was born, we received really just a one-page pamphlet from the hospital. And we said, man, what would be a really amazing book if we could create a booklet that we wish we would have gotten, what would it be? And so we created this really cool Hope Stories booklet, encouragement and answers for parents of children with Down syndrome. And we answer questions like, what about heart concerns? What's my child going to do as an adult? What about sibling relationships?
Awesome.
And this is a booklet that doctors can give out to their patients. And then we created a how to deliver a Down syndrome diagnosis with Hope guide for doctors, a preferred language guide. But really the secret sauce is we want doctors to connect their patients to parents a little further along in their journey and create community. Because community is where change happens.
Absolutely.
You know that.
Yep. Oh, 100%.
You guys are community pros.
And I think something like this could allow people that rate is staggering and higher than that. Some people say higher than that, but it's also based. There is no education. There's no showing both sides. There's just saying all these negatives could possibly happen. When a typical baby's born, you're not told, oh boy.
Here's the laundry list of all the what ifs.
What's going to happen? You're told, oh my God, congratulations. With our kids, we hear about every negative thing that can happen to them. And that's what they're told when that prenatal diagnosis hits.
Yes.
So it's only fair to give both sides. Raising a child, any child, isn't easy. There's always going to be something.
Yes.
But giving both sides is the only fair way to do that. And that those implications, it's that termination rate that implies our kids are less than.
Yes.
Or that they're not worthy. And that's what bothers me the most, that our kids are disposable. And because I am with you, those parents, I know that they don't. There's no way when that doctor tells you that the first thing you're thinking of is, I don't want this child, or I don't want my baby. That's not what you're thinking, but you're right. It's that authority figure in the room that's going, oh, wait a minute, you can't handle this. This. If we know the backstory. And even when GiGi was born, and I was told, and I remember, you can't be in a more vulnerable place. And we had a C-section, so we're still laying down, stuff going on. And I was looking up, talking to the 3 experts that were, they're the experts. They're the big people in the room. What they're saying, and the way they're delivering it is the way that we internalize it. They're delivering it with such a negative way, telling you. I remember my doctor coming in, who was awesome, by the way, but he came in going, wow, you really shook up this floor. If something like this can happen to you and Paul, it can happen to anyone. And I'm like what? What
just happened?
What do
you mean?
And what was I going to go home and tell Franco and my other kids, that we're now this family, and what does it mean to be that family? I mean, that was the hardest thing for me, is that I'm a really positive person, but met with so much negativity. I didn't know how to go out and celebrate. I didn't know how to, I had to fake it. I had to pretend.
Yep.
They were taking my joy,
Yep.
and I know they didn't mean to. They just didn't know any better.
Yep.
And this would be so great for. Could you imagine to have every OBGYN to have a Hope Kit? Would be awesome.
Yeah, because the 2 problems we're trying to solve is the lack of training. Hold on, Noah, and then you can show your picture, okay? Noah's got a picture he's dying to show you, and we're going to see it in just a second. But most doctors don't receive the training, and most doctors. Hey, Noah, you want to show your picture real fast? Let's show him.
All right.
So Noah wants to show you. He's in the booklet.
What?
He's talking about his friendships, because kids with Down syndrome, they can make friendships like any other kid. We know that, right, GiGi? I bet you have lots of friends.
Oh yeah.
And so you got lots of friends. That's your friend Stella. And she's been one of your best friends since kindergarten, right? Okay, hold on. And so, Noah loves to talk.
I want to talk.
But doctors are great. I'm married to a doctor. We have doctors on we have doctors on our board of our nonprofit, And I think doctors have great intent.
Totally.
And I think no one has ever come alongside them and say, hey, I don't know what you might have learned in medical school, but as a parent, can I tell you, this is a blessing.
Right.
And so lack of training, we want to help. Hey, no, you got to give me a second. Okay, let me finish, and then you get to talk, okay?
Deal.
And so lack of training, and so we want to help train them by giving them resources on how to deliver that news. And lack of... Okay. Noah's just like any other 10-year-old.
Right,
you know
he wants to talk.
He wants to talk. Give me 1 sec. And so lack of training that we want to help with. Okay. It's just real life. This is real life.
Right,
We're all
it's
together.
what it
This
is.
is not Zoom. We're
Yeah.
together.
Yep. He just wants to tell you something.
Okay, talk.
I say,
Oh, he wants the microphone.
You can move the microphone down and extend it out to his arm.
Here we go.
There you go.
What do
He's
you
like, you're
wanna say?
talking about me. Let me say something.
It's telling me.
Me and Stella.
And then my friend Stella coming down my house and I'm cool and recess.
Reset. Oh, nice.
And me Stella and they sent me a best friend ever.
She's your best friend ever? That is awesome.
Panu, Stella, Panu,
This is your
Stella.
partner?
Yeah.
And I want dinner and
You like dinner with
dinner
Stella?
and Penny and Vivi and Ronan and say.
Way to go, Noah.
Awesome.
That's
Thank you, man.
Awesome. Stella is
Well, I
one
hope
of
I
his
get to
sweet
meet
friends. She's
Stella
amazing.
one of these
Yeah, she
days.
sounds like quite
She's
the
a really
girl.
good
Maybe-
friend. Noah has friends. People have come around Noah. Noah is a champion at his school. He has friends. He's accepted by the community. And that's what we want medical professionals to know is that, hey, we want to connect every medical professional to a family like us, like you, who can say, let me actually tell you what our life is like.
Right.
Not what you might have learned in a textbook, but let me really tell you what it's like. And that we hope that we can change the perception that doctors have so that when they deliver the news, they're not thinking about a textbook, they're thinking about a Noah and they're thinking about a GiGi. And that's what we want to do through Hope Story.
That's the goal. That's an
Yep.
awesome goal to
Yep.
have and game changing. I remember when we were starting the Playhouses, and I'm thinking, we give everything away for free. We're all volunteer run. So how are we going to do this? And I remember every volunteer that came in, I used to ask them, like, why are you volunteering? Because we had volunteers, young kids, old people, like everybody coming to volunteer. And I always said, what's your story? And almost every single one of them was coming to us from a connection with Down syndrome. Whether it was a good connection of, oh my gosh, my brother, my cousin, my whatever, or a connection of, there was this kid down the street that had Down syndrome and a lot of the kids weren't good to him. I never stepped up. I want my kids to step up. I want them to volunteer here with me. I want them to get to know these guys. That was such a big piece to me with the Playhouse, always having volunteers of all ages, because a lot of times they don't get to know our kids.
Yep.
They don't see them in school. If they're in different classrooms, they don't get that chance to meet other people. So to me, it's always been about connections
Yep.
and making those connections. And I love the idea of these connections to the people that are caring for them and then giving this diagnosis about our kids. And something, again, that they see our kids when our kids are sick. They see our kids,
Yep.
in that 5 minutes they learn in medical school. And when you read textbook Down syndrome, it's not pretty.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not pretty.
And there's plenty of great doctors out there.
Totally.
My wife's one of them. She's
Yeah.
a great doctor.
Yes.
And like I said, I think doctors all have really, I don't think you would be a doctor unless you wanted to help people. But I don't think there's a lot of doctors who have kids with Down syndrome.
Right.
And so they just need someone like us to tell, hey, can I tell you what it's like raising a Noah?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
it. I want to give you another
Putting
tool
a
for your
name to
toolbox.
it, yes.
Putting a name to it.
Yep. Putting a name to it.
I think it also
it's huge.
helps so much too, like when you have these individuals, like these families of Down syndrome, like being able to have them connect those stories. Because I will say in my life, just having GiGi, and whenever I have conversations with someone in the idea and the topic of Down syndrome comes up, and they'll be like, "Oh, I have a brother with Down syndrome. I have a sister. I have a cousin with Down syndrome." Next thing I know, you're talking to that person for like an hour, like the entire night,
Yep.
just about that,
Well,
the
just happened to be at a
experiences you
Cubs
have.
game the other
I mean,
day.
that's why I thought of it. I was at the Cubs game the other day, and the guy sitting next to me, and I'm talking to him about how his brother has Down syndrome, and that's the thing. People want to share these stories.
Yes.
And I think the idea of having them being able to expose others that maybe aren't connected to Down syndrome, because I mean, even me, when I talk about Gigi to anyone who's not experienced with Down syndrome, I can go all day about it. And that's just because I'm also passionate about it. But at the same time, I think everyone is. And being able to actually share those stories with medical professionals or with people that aren't necessarily exposed to it is the best way of us being able to actually show how Down syndrome truly affects your life and just the positive impact that it actually brings. And I think like what you're doing, it's the best way to actually inspire these families to realize that life isn't over when you have that kid. And having them actually be able to talk and see the passion and excitement in someone's eyes when they talk about their brother or their daughter or anything, that's really what's going to allow them to see like, okay, like I could do this. If they're glowing like this talking about them, then I could definitely do this.
Yeah.
So I think that's just the perfect way to be able to kind of just change perspectives.
It's that ripple effect too. You give them the tools for them to be able to share that kindness, to share that hope, and that ripples on to other people.
And then they're going to be equally excited about it too. When they have their kid and they see all these positive experiences and it changes their life, then it's just going to constantly just keep going with that ripple effect. Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks. And so I think a lot of families, maybe they have made the call to someone when they got the news, but they've never been on the receiving end of the call. Mm-hmm. So we recruit, we train, and we resource those families. And so we resource them, and we really try to set families up to be ready when their phone rings and it's a new parent on the other end, what to say, how to say it, kind of what to talk about, even trying to, if you're trying to meet with a person in real life, to ask, hey, would you like me to bring my child with Down syndrome? Would you not? What would you prefer? Because sometimes people aren't ready for that right away.
Yeah, right.
And so you want to say, hey, we can go grab coffee. Do you want me to bring Noah, or would you prefer maybe that I didn't right now? And that's not a knock on that parent. Some people just aren't there yet.
Yeah.
And so so we really try to set them up for success because I really, really, truly, really believe if you're a parent of a child with Down syndrome, no matter the age, we start Hope Advocates at 1 year old and up, because that first year they're trying to get a lot under their belt, and that first year they really need a Hope Advocate. But we really just want parents to know, hey, you have a story, and we can help you share it and help give you opportunities to share it. And I think once a parent shares their story for the first time, that energizes them to want to keep doing it.
Yeah. And helping and serving others in the way that they didn't have.
You good, Noah?
He's like, yeah, I'm out of here. I'm done.
I might have to get up and go explore, play some more basketball up there.
No, they have an amazing, if you don't know about the place that we're at right now, they got a lot of fun stuff, don't they know? They got basketball, they got everything, and he's real excited. But we got to finish this. This is great because Noah's a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Like any other 10-year-old. He wants to go do all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm over you guys being.
We're going to let you talk in just a little bit, okay?
Yes. Gigi, I know you have some questions too.
How old are you, Noah? 10.
10 years old.
Do you have any siblings?
Do you have brothers? Tell them about your brothers.
Sam and Cohen.
Jackson and Cohen.
Oh, how old are they? Oh, sorry.
3 and 7. Where did you and your wife meet?
Oh.
How did me and Mom meet?
Date.
Okay.
A date?
A date.
My mommy, my dad, and kiss.
Oh, they kiss?
Yeah. You're too young to know about that.
Yeah.
And mommy, daddy.
Yeah, Mom and Daddy.
Yep.
Mom and Daddy's kiss.
How does Noah make you feel about life?
Noah is the blessing that we never knew we wanted, and so I always describe it like this. Sometimes when you go to the bookstore, you go to like Barnes and Noble, and you're walking down the aisle and you see all the books. Oftentimes you walk by so many stories because you look at the cover of the book and you go, I wouldn't really be interested in that story. And so I feel like with Noah is like a story that we opened that we never knew we wanted to read. And
Love it.
It's such a beautiful story. And Noah has changed our life really in a million different ways for the better. And I think sometimes before we had Noah, if I heard someone with a child with Down syndrome say that, I would say, that's what you're supposed to say. You have to say that. But now on this side of the table, I can tell people and be very authentic and say, man, I mean it. That Noah has changed our life in so many ways for the better. And we wouldn't change one chromosome on him, except he's got a couple in there that we might tweak. But my mom would say the same thing about me,
Right.
But he's changed our life for the better in so many ways. And he's made our life better. He's made our kids' lives better, and he's made everyone in our family better. You know.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
What are your dreams of Noah?
What are my dreams for Noah? What's my dreams for you? What? Okay, I don't know what he said, but my dreams for Noah is the same.
And the Patrick.
Patrick? He likes SpongeBob and Patrick.
Oh,
He wanted me to tell you that. And, you know, my dreams for Noah, that's a great question, is the same dreams that I have for my other kids, to you know, he's telling me a great secret. My dreams for Noah is the same as my other kids, you know, just to make an impact in the world, to do good.
I had Taylor and my dummy and had Taylor.
Noah's dream is to go to a hotel. He likes to go to hotels and travel. And go to the moon? Food. Chick-fil-A.
I know Gigi
totally
dreams
relate.
of food. Daydreams of it.
You know.
I do too, Gigi.
And just to make an impact in the world, I want Noah to be a
And donuts and my dummy go away.
lunch. Noah wants to go to lunch. That's
Checked
his
out.
dream, is to just have lunch.
I think it's Gigi's dream too. So.
Okay. But to make a difference and to make a
And had Taylor and walnuts, my dummy and both lunch.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly.
That's what
Couldn't
I
have
was
said
gonna
it better
say.
myself.
If you had one message to the world, what will it be?
My message to the world, when it comes specifically about Down syndrome, is I would say that parents of kids with Down syndrome love their kids. I have never met a parent. I've met a lot of parents of kids with Down syndrome,
And that.
and they love their kids. And so if you don't have a
my daddy, mommy's coming and listen to morning.
Exactly. And so if you don't have a parent, if you don't have a child with Down syndrome, you might think that we're struggling, you might feel sorry for us, but you don't need to. We're okay. And if you're a new parent of a child with Down syndrome, you're going to be okay too. There's a world of friends waiting to greet you with opening arms. And these kids are blessings. And Gigi's and Noah's and all the people like them, they make our world a better place. And we don't want to eradicate them. We don't want to get rid of them. We are better off for these friends being in the world, and we love them, and we love that they're in our world, and we want more Noahs and Gigi's in the world.
Yeah, I've met some of the most amazing people in my life because of Down syndrome.
Yes.
And you guys
Yes.
are some of them. So I'm so beyond grateful to meet you. And I think I've already heard in everything you've said what your something extra is, but I would love, because we are on the Little Something Extra podcast, I would love to hear what you think your little something extra is.
Our little something extra is we want to give people, hope. We believe that when a new mom or a new dad gets that diagnosis, they're full of fear. Fear can bring about hopelessness, but when you replace fear with hope, you can help people move forward. Totally. And so we really want to help people move forward with hope. We want to replace fear with hope and tell them you're not alone, and that you have a community of people that are here, because you need each other. We need one another.
100%. I think one other thing, and just being in the not-for-profit world for so long. Oh, sorry. She's like, oh, I've got something to say now. Is also like, there's a lot of different groups doing a lot of different things for people, in their communities.
Yeah.
How can you make them feel better about how you can help them with their messaging? I think that's really an important piece, that this doesn't take the place of anything. Just like a Gigi's Playhouse doesn't take the place in a community of a different group that's out there. We're only here to make each other better, to make each other stronger. And by unifying forces, by coming together, that's how we're going to do this. That's the way that we're going to be able to change the way the world sees Down syndrome and our kids and the medical profession. So I just wanted to hear how, I know that sometimes people are like, oh no, we're already doing this. So we don't need something like that. But I like the idea of this being a little different, you guys being extremely medical focused, and your board being physicians and doctors, and that I just like the way you're sharing it. So if you could just...
So that's a great question, and I really, truly believe we're better together. And so, when our son Noah was born, our local Down syndrome organization, they were such a great help for us.
So many times in the not-for-profit world, even though we're all in this together doing the same thing, sometimes other organizations feel as if they need, that you're they've been doing it one way and they don't want to change it. They don't want to do it a different way. They don't want, Hope's story to come in and be their story.
Yes.
So what do you have to say about that? How can you help them feel better about the way your approach to doing it?
Yeah.
That will really gel with theirs. Like with us, I love collaborating with other people because that's how we're going to make a difference in the world. It's the only way it's going to happen. So I would just love to hear your answer.
That's a great question. So what I would say is that I really, truly, honestly believe we're better together. Mm-hmm. That we are better collectively together. So for Hope's story, to backtrack, when Noah was born, our local Down syndrome organization in Dallas, man, they were a lifeline for us. They helped us so much, and so we're such advocates of the local Down syndrome organizations. And so we really look at what we do as supplementing the great work they are already doing. And so when I think about Gigi's Playhouse, I think about you guys are supplementing the great work. And I think sometimes we think about, hey, this is my turf or my turf. But I really look at, man, how can I add value to what you're doing?
Totally.
And if anybody ever, that's why I always love if I can just get 10 minutes in a room with someone to tell them, man, I'm so thankful for what you're doing. You guys are doing such a great job. Like, you guys are awesome.
Right.
And we just want to supplement. If there's any way for us to help, we want to help.
We want to be.
Not to take away from what you're doing, because you guys are already doing a great job.
Yeah.
But how can we add to, and how can we help connect more people to what you're doing?
Love it. That's the only way we're going to get it done, brother. We got a long way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I started with her, 18 years ago, and I'm glad that you're doing something different that can help supplement what we're doing, because there's a need for that. And I think in different areas, people have different ways of doing things.
Yep.
And this is just another universal way of acceptance and bringing that acceptance to the medical community.
Yeah, and we ultimately, what's funny is, that we want more kids with Down syndrome to make it out of the womb, and we ultimately want those kids that make it out of the womb to get connected to their local Down syndrome organization.
Yeah.
So we actually want to help bring people to the local organizations because it's important, because we're not a local organization.
No.
We're not a Gigi's Playhouse.
Yeah.
And we want to refer folks to these great organizations that are doing great work, but they can't get referred to the organizations unless they make it out of the womb.
Yeah.
And so we want to help. We want to help do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for shedding a positive light on Down syndrome. I think the more we can do that, the more we can showcase what our kids can do. I mean, we're talking about, in the last 30 years, our kids' life expectancy has increased more than doubled. It went from the age 25 to 60. I mean, there's a lot of life for these guys to live, and we got to make it the best world we can for them. So grateful to have you starting it, brother.
Thanks for what you guys do.
Oh my gosh. You know what? We're going to be doing a lot of things together. I'm just so grateful for you guys in Dallas. And what did I forget, Gigi?
And if someone in Dallas is watching this that wants to start a Gigi's Playhouse, please call these folks. Why do we not have a Gigi's Playhouse in Dallas?
We're going to get there.
Call
We're going to get there.
folks.
Let's make it happen.
There's a lot of money in Dallas. People
Free
can start a Gigi's
programs.
Playhouse.
Yeah, right?
There's some people there with funds.
Yes.
Start it. Come on.
We can make it happen.
Make it happen.
And I love Dallas, so I need to get here.
I know.
You do?
Yes.
You love Dallas too? Yes.
Out of all the places that we have in Texas, and the fact that we're not in Dallas yet too is just
We have great
mind-blowing to me.
Tex-Mex in Dallas.
And they got great Tex-Mex, exactly.
Oh, there he is. Come here. Come say goodbye with us.
Daddy, come.
We're going to miss you.
What's the name of your website?
Say it.
My dummy dog and my
What's your name? Where do you work?
Hope Dewey.
HopeStory.com or .org. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. We will see you in Dallas. Thank you for flying in. This is our first in person. What do you think, Frank? How'd we do?
I think it went pretty damn well.
All right, so you guys, I hope you can stay, because after each segment, we do a little segment called Gigi's Lifestyle Tips.
Ooh, Gigi's Lifestyle Tips.
Did you say tips?
I did say tips.
Tips!
Woo! All right, sing it, girl. What are your tips for today?
Here are my tips on living a positive life. Get good sleep. Always wake up excited for your day. Be active and eat healthy, and gives you energy to be happy. Surround yourself with positive people. Don't let people bring you down. Focus on the good things in your life, not that bad. Spend every day show gratitude towards others.
Woo!
Those are my great tips.
Those are some great
Those are
tips.
tips.
Tips, Gigi.
Woo!
Thumbs up.
Those were awesome tips. Franco, do you have anything to say? I know as a sibling, you were the one who actually found out about Rick, and he was so excited when he met you. So excited.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mean, first off, I mean, what you're doing is exactly what I think needs to be done in the world. I think just being able to go out there and kind of explain and voice your opinions about Down syndrome are two, especially medical professions, who are actually being the person that kind of kicks off the life for these kids is such an important thing. But I guess from like a sibling perspective too, I'm just really excited for Noah's brothers as well. I mean, they are about to, and this goes toward any kid with Down or sibling of Down syndrome, is that they're going to be the best advocates on the planet, and they're also just going to be the best people on the planet because they absolutely understand just all the important keys of life. I mean, whether it's just compassion and love and patience and just how to be able to and protection, I think, is a big thing too. I mean, I know I'm an extremely protective sibling. Yeah. So yeah, I think for all the siblings out there that are also hearing this, make sure that you that, like Rick is saying, make sure that story of your sibling is known by everyone, because we're the ones that can actually spread the word in ways that anyone else can't. So yeah, being able to provide that perspective to the world, coming from a sibling perspective, it's different than coming from a parent's perspective. Yeah. Because when they were born, like you said earlier, I didn't see any difference in GiGi. I wasn't the one getting that diagnosis from the doctor. I was the one that's just sitting there super excited to have a new sibling. So my entire life, I was just always thinking, this is just my sister. She's not my sister with Down syndrome. So I think just to word to all the siblings out there, just make sure that you share your story and your why and your love for your sibling.
Yeah, that's really good. I think sometimes we think we have to do these really sensational things to tell our story, that we have to be on a stage at some grand ball or some gala. But just talking to your neighbor, talking to your friends, bringing your child with Down syndrome to a party, like just normal day-to-day stuff, going to a restaurant. Those are story sharing moments.
Totally.
Even though, I mean, social media and the internet has really made people think you have to have this huge following and this huge, hoopla in order to share your story. That's just not true. You share your story in the day-to-day moments, of life. I think, some people sometimes will say, boy, I follow you guys on Instagram and you travel a lot. And to which I say, kind of jokingly, I'm thinking like, we really don't. We're mostly at home, but I just don't share those moments because social media is our highlight reel. But the real day-to-day life change is just Noah hanging out at school, walking to school, hanging with his peers on the street. Those are our normal moments, and we all have those normal moments. Right. And you can really let your story shine just in the day-to-day moments.
Totally.
You don't have to be on a stage.
No, and I love it. And that's kind of what Generation G is our movement. It's Generation G is our conscious decision to be better every single day. And I feel like that's kind of what we're doing. We're living Generation G every single day. Be generous.
Be kind.
And
be accepting.
That's right. Be generous, be kind, be accepting. That's what you guys are. That's the message. That's what these siblings are. That's the message we're getting out to the world. So I want to thank everybody.
Thank you guys for having us.
For being here. This was awesome. Our first in-person podcast. In and out. We lost Noah, but we bore him. Whatever. Now we got to pick up the pace a little bit so we can keep his attention. Because we, kind of let it
there's donuts outside, so
we had to fight donuts.
Yeah, there's donuts.
That's a hard blame him
It's a hard
on
thing.
That's awesome. All right, well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you guys for flying in.
Thank you for having us.
And everybody have a great day. We will see you next time on A Little Something Extra
with Nessa, Jenny, and the
GiGi.
Woo! That's it.